All right, we are back again. Now we have another indie game dev developer, this time from Bulgaria, and he's working on possibly the next big title in mobile PvP, Cryo War. Please welcome on stage Viktor Ketipov.
Hello. We're doing a little bit of sidestep from game design and level design. The topic for today is indie guide for game conferences. Hello, my name is Viktor Ketipov. I am the founder, CEO, programmer, and a lot of other stuff in Kipi Interactive. We're an independent game development studio based here in Sofia, and I'm going to share with you some of the knowledge I've gathered through going to several conferences for the last few years. So, what are the main types of conferences? First off, we have development conferences, like Sofia Game Jam Week. You have developers gathered on some place wanting to share some kind of knowledge, whether it's going to be about development, art, business, or stuff like this. You also have business type of conferences, where parties go there in order to do some kind of business. That could be an indie developer looking for a publisher. Also, you can find other companies, other development companies, and have some partnership with them to co-develop other types of games. You can look for freelancers. You can look for people to help you with QA, localization, voice acting, all amazing stuff. Also, you have consumer type of events. On consumer type of events, you usually showcase your game. No matter how much you've tested your game with your friends and family, you always want to showcase your game to consumers before release, because you never know exactly what you're going to have as a response from players until you actually show it to someone who is not your friend and not part of your family. I really advise indie developers to showcase their games as much as possible to as many people as possible. And also, there's rarely a clear cut from development, business, or consumer events. Usually, it's a mix of those type of events. Now, why should you attend one? There are mainly two reasons to attend this type of conferences. First off, you probably want to showcase your game. One of the advice I would give you is to always have a prepared scenario about your game. When you're showcasing your game, you're probably showcasing it on a big consumer event, and there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of people there. You have to introduce players to your game over and over again. And this is tiresome. You want to make sure that you have all the questions that people would likely ask prepared so you can answer them, because this is extremely exhausting. Also, you want to have a stable build. Yes, this is kind of obvious, but I want to stress it out because I've seen such scenarios where developers are just having something done for several months, it's not fully tested, and the first thing that players see is actually a crash. Please avoid that at all costs. And the third thing I want to emphasize on is you have to be, and you have to do everything in your power to be extremely nice to your customers or to people who have come to your booth to see your game. You see, there are so many games out there and so many games on all of these conventions that you have to think that people are actually spending their time to see your particular game. So it's extremely difficult to be absolutely nice on this type of events, but you have to do your best, because these people really care about your game since they're there and they're spending their time with you. Another thing you should really consider is when you're on a consumer show, make sure you have a big screen. It doesn't matter what you're showing on the big screen as long as it's big. No, it does matter what you're showing, sorry. But having a big screen really makes a difference. So CryoWar is a real-time multiplayer arena brawler, and we'll be showcasing it on mobile phones for some time. And even though it looks really good, it's really hard to get the attention of people from a small device. Even if you have a tablet, it's still not as big as an enormous screen. So having a big screen actually makes a ton of difference. And the last thing is something you might not have control of, which is if you're in a consumer event, where your booth is positioned actually does make a huge difference. If you're in a big event like Gamescom and your booth is close to the aisles that connect all the other halls, you have a lot of traffic coming through your booth, and it really makes a difference. So if you do have a chance to choose your booth, always make sure it's where a lot of people will actually go. Another reason to go to these events is when you want to meet publishers. There's a really cool system called Meet to Match, and a lot of the events are actually using it. What it is basically a web platform where everybody who is attending the event, almost everybody, actually signs up for. It's usually paid, but it's really not that expensive. And what you have there is a system where you can invite everybody who's registered to a meeting. That means a lot of the publishers are actually registered to that system. So what you do is you invite them to 30-minute slots throughout the event, and it's super easy to use. You basically search through the companies that you're looking for, and then you just click invite to a meeting. You write a small message like, "Hello, John from super awesome indie publisher. My name is Viktor. I am working on a game called CryoWar. My team has experience in this and this and this. Let's meet." And that's it. The cool thing with this system is that it's really well organized, and there's no way you can book the same time for several people. And usually people who have booked, who has registered to Meet to Match are willing to share 30 minutes of their time to hear you out. So definitely check it out. You can also meet publishers on Twitter. A lot of biz dev guys from big and small publishers are actually on Twitter, and they're quite easy to actually get a hold of. So Twitter is a good tool for finding publishers. When you do want to have a meeting with a publisher, always make sure you do a background check. You make sure that the game that you are making actually makes sense to that publisher. And last but not least, it's good to have a pitch deck prepared. Pitch deck is a document that you want to share to introduce yourself, your team, your vision, your idea to a publisher. It usually is like slides, around from 5 to 10 slides. It shouldn't be a document that takes more than 5 to 10 minutes to read through. GIF magic. So whenever you can, use some kind of GIF for your game. It makes a ton of difference. Whenever you're meeting publishers or press, make sure that you have something interesting in your email and in your message, because these people actually receive hundreds, if not thousands, of emails every day. So if you have something like this, make sure you use it. Another tip is that some emails don't allow you to have attachments more than 8 megabytes, so make sure your whole email is less than 8 megabytes. This thing is around 7. Okay, so where to look for conferences? There are two big databases, Game Industry Biz and VideoGameCons.com. Both of them don't include all of the conferences around the world, but Most of them are there. You can also find out about different conferences through Twitter. For example, I learned about Pocket Gamer Connects, which is one really interesting event held in London, through Twitter. One of the biz dev guys from a publisher actually said, okay guys, next week I'm going to PGC London. I looked into it, realized this is an interesting event for me, and yeah, that's how I got there. So let's get to the costly part of conferences. How much does it actually cost? And what's the value for going to a conferences? Let's start with the most expensive one, GDC. GDC is really expensive. There's no question about it. So conference ticket starts from $200 and go all the way from 2,000. The $200 ticket gives you access to the expo, but no access to any talks. So all the GDC talks that you've seen through YouTube and GDC Vault, you won't have access to this. In order to get access to these talks, you need to pay around 1,000. And that's just the beginning of it. Traveling there is expensive because we're in Europe. GDC is in San Francisco. But the most expensive thing is accommodation. San Francisco is a really expensive city, and during GDC, it gets even more expensive. So is it worth it, is the big question. In my opinion, GDC for an indie is rarely worth it. It's super expensive. There's a lot of developers there. It's primarily a development type of conference, but there are so many people that if you want to contact publishers, for example, it's really, really hard because there are a lot of people and most of them are booked through the whole event. Now, let's jump to Europe. Gamescom is a business and consumer event. Last year, I think there were like 350,000 people attending Gamescom. So it's huge, it's enormous. It takes place in 10 halls in Cologne, Germany. The tickets are a lot less expensive than GDC. Traveling there could be a lot less expensive if you book early. And accommodation is bearable. Gamescom is a good event, especially if you're looking for publishers or if you can afford having a booth there, because there are so many consumers, and also most of the publishers are attending Gamescom. Definitely most European publishers and some publishers from the US and Asia. The next one is actually my favorite one, the one that I'm going to recommend to you. Game Industry Conference. Compared to Gamescom, it's going to cost you similar amount, but it's a bit smaller than Gamescom in terms of sheer volume of attendees. But in addition to this, you do have a development part. So for the same price, you actually have development, consumer, and business event. But the most beneficial thing, I mean, the thing that sells it out is the fact that it's a little bit smaller and it's a lot easier to get in touch with publishers there because there are not that many attendees compared to Gamescom. If you're on a budget, there's a really nice event that happens here in really close by in Bucharest, Romania. It's a business event. Traveling there is 6 hours by car, so it's quite easy to get there. It's a little bit smaller than all the other events, but if you're on a budget and you want to try this out, it's a good event. Also, what I forgot to tell you that each year, Game Industry Conference and DevPlay offer free booths to indie developers. So definitely check that out. And one of the most interesting conferences is called Indie Game Business. It's a business event that happens entirely online. So you have no cost for traveling and accommodation. It starts with $85 up to $250, and the insane thing is that you can meet publishers from all around the world on this event while you don't actually have to leave your house. Okay, now it's time for questions. Have any questions?
Here is one.
Yeah, I have a question about the last conference that when the one that you don't leave your house.
Indie game business.
In the game business, do the big publishers attend this?
How do you define a big publisher?
AAA style publishers, or is it only for
AAA,
indies?
no.
It's only for indies then.
Yeah, smaller publishers, but still publishers that an indie developer might be interested in.
Oh, okay. And a second question: can you elaborate a little bit more about how much for your game and for your personal case how many conferences did you attend, and how much value did that bring marketing-wise, and say on this conference, how many publishers did you successfully meet? What's the bottom line? Like?
Okay, so let's talk about indie game business. I've attended one of these events. One issue with indie game business is it's focused on US time zone. So meeting was a little bit tricky because the US time zone differs a lot from our time zone. So some of my meetings were throughout the night. I think I met with 5 or 6 publishers. So I think that it's worth the money, definitely. I think the conference, at least for me, that made more sense was definitely game industry conference. So that's my recommendation. If you're an indie, definitely go there.
Hi, great presentation. Can you
you.
please elaborate a bit more on some tips and tricks on how to not like waste your time and be like optimal when you're in those conferences?
What's your goal in the conference? Because it really does make a difference whether you want to find a publisher or you want to showcase your game. These are two different topics.
Probably more in the publisher side. I'm coming from the like startup ecosystem, and there in conferences you can waste a lot of time and money like going and just. Yeah.
There are a lot of conferences, especially in the web scene, which are a lot more expensive than what I'm showing here. My advice is using the meet-to-match system, because looking for every publisher and asking them whether they're going to be attending a specific conference could take you a lot of time. Almost all publishers that I was interested in actually did sign up for meet-to-match. And it usually costs between $50 and $100. And you have a huge list of everybody who's attending. So I think the most efficient thing is sign up for meet-to-match, register there, put all your info, go to the attendees list. It's usually, I don't know, around 50 pages. It really depends on how many companies has actually signed up for, but look through all of the different attendees, do a little search whether they're looking for the game that you're making, and just meet with all of them. Events like this are 2 to 3 days. You can fill most of your time with meetings. So for 2 to 3 days, you can meet everyone you actually wanted to meet using this system. So definitely a lot easier than trying to find all the publishers specifically for your game and send individual mails to them. They're a lot more willing to spend 30 minutes with you than just sending a random email on their page.
Hi, other than publishers, what other people of interest are worth pursuing at such conferences? Because you mentioned localizers and other freelancers. Who else is it worth looking for at such events?
It really depends on what you are looking for. You could be looking for a co-development company, for example. If you want to make a game but your team is not big enough to make it, then you might want to consider looking for another development company so you can co-develop your product. Like I said, QA, localization, voice acting, if you're doing motion capturing, there are studios that offer this. So everything that you can't do in-house, you can look for on those conferences. Do we have any more questions?
Oh, there's one more there.
Is participate in this kind of conference can help you make community and publicity of the game?
Yes, but you have to attend mostly consumer shows because media actually goes to these shows. So it's a good idea to go to consumer shows to showcase your game and actually make some contacts with media. Any more questions?
Okay, if there's no more questions, let's thank Viktor for the informative lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.